welcome to another episode of the Flashback Cartoon Hour. I'm your loving bald host with the most from coast to coast, Nick Heatonism Lascola. And joining me today is the lovely
Joey.
Mr. Joey V. And we are doing another bonus episode, a little segment we like to call the Flashback Reacts. Here, we watch a movie and then sit down and press record, so you get our fresh reaction to the movie. And today, we have the pleasure of going over the 1972?
Yeah, 1972.
1972 movie, Fritz the Cat.
Hey, you fucking intellectuals, you think you're so where it's at. Before you fill your minds with any junk and listen to Fritz the Cat, as writers and poets and artists, it's your duty to live life the most. So bug out, brothers, and check out the world, give me a ride to the coast. Fritz the Cat, he fought many a good man, laid many a good woman. Live life to the fullest, he'll proud, the more till his grave.
So why don't we just begin? I'm going to give a quick little synopsis of the plot, and then me and Joey will go in and give our point of view of the movie.
Yeah.
In the late 1960s, a pretentious, womanizing young cat drops out of college, starts a riot in Harlem, hits the road with an ex-girlfriend, and gets mixed up with domestic terrorists. And I should start off by saying that this is the very first ever X-rated animated movie. So quite a bit of controversy.
Definitely
with
X-rated.
this. Yes. Oh my God. Without a doubt. It was pretty fucking brutal to get to. This is not for the kiddos, folks. So if you got some young ones listening, please turn it off. With that, let's begin. Joey, why don't you go into the beginning of the plot and where we meet Fritz and what he's doing?
Yep. So basically, this movie starts off with our main character Fritz, and he's basically going to college in New York. I think his college is based around Harlem, New York.
NYU.
NYU, yeah. And he's the typical college student at the time. You know, he doesn't really give a shit about studying or anything like that. He basically just wants to get high and fuck.
Yeah, literally, which is a big theme of the movie, is just
one of the only
fucking
themes of the movie.
Yeah, it was hard that we were sitting there and there's like really no plot to the movie. It's really Fritz going from place to place, fucking and destroying everything that's around him.
Yeah.
And with it, we begin with Fritz in a band playing music on the street. And these three college girls come up to him, and he overhears some kind of conversation they have with a crow. Going like, oh, we feel bad for black people.
Yeah, before like that happens, like basically like they're all sitting around, right? He joins up with his group of buddies, and they're all like, oh, bro, this is so drag. Like, oh, dude, like I hate life. Like all the bullshit, just complaining to complain.
Yeah, the monotonity of life.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And then they see these three girls start walking by, and Fritz quick taps his buddies like, hey, all right, guitars, trying to impress these girls, you know, get their attention. Which just like that's Fritz to a T. He's just a hornball. Like he's just a college hornball. All he wants to do, like we said, is fuck.
I've literally never seen another cartoon character as horny as Fritz the Cat.
Yeah. But before we actually dive into the opening scene to this movie is great. It's basically the three construction workers. I think one of them's the hippo.
Oh, yes.
And the other two, they're like eating a burger on like it's not like scaffolding, but they're like up on the big cranes. Up. Yeah, they're building some building. And the fucking rhino or hippo, whatever he is, decides like while like they're talking about nonsense, he just decides to take a piss off. And right in the beginning of the movie, it cuts to this cat or dog, some type of animal walking by.
I think it was a dog.
Yeah, and he just gets pounded by like a fucking stream of piss coming down.
Oh my God.
And I thought it was a great opening.
Yeah, it's so hard that it
hits
makes
the
it, it hits the floor.
Yeah. And that is how this movie starts off, and then it dives into what we were just talking about with Fritz trying to impress.
Yeah, then we see Fritz, and you know he's the cat with his red sweater, and he's playing like on the street with his band buddies, and these college girls are talking to a crow, and they're talking about how, you know, they're down for the cause and how they feel bad for everything that's happened to the Crow's people.
I've read everything James Baldwin's written. He has a true sense of the problems of black people.
I worked for Head Start for free last summer. Black kids are so much groovier.
I went to a couple of Black Panther meetings. The time for nonviolent revolution is past. More power to the people.
I'm taking a course in African studies at school. I had no idea you people were so civilized.
Fritz looks at this like a opportunity and starts, doing this whole sob story, and the girls start listening, and dude, they're eating it up. He knows exactly how to talk to them.
Well, before he walks over there, the Crow's basically like, bro, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And like walks off, and they're all like, oh man, like, shit, I like the Crow.
Yeah.
And so Fritz jumps on that opportunity. He's like, all right, bro, now it's free game.
Yeah, he's like, listen, man, you got to be like us. You got to look for the truth, and you come with me. And like one of the three girls seems very interested. And in fact, he just immediately starts feeling her up and starts whisking her way back to his apartment. And the other two girls are like, no, we want to be a part of it too. So he goes to, I don't even think it was his apartment because he walked in.
Yeah, it's some like, I don't know, his drug dealer or something.
Yeah, the drug dealer is a rat. And so like everyone in the room is
like a drug
smoking
house.
Weed because that was the big bad back then in the 70s.
Although this weed, in this movie, whatever weed they're smoking is like
nothing
crack.
I've ever tried.
Yeah, they're like, it's like laced with LSD or some shit because they go bonkers.
Shit, they're going, it's like fucking
bonkers.
PCP or something. It was wild.
All right, cut that.
So
bonkers in this bitch.
No, I love it. This whole movie is bonkers, bro. It's just wild. I was sitting there with my mouth on the floor the entire time, and we heard that it was bad, but it's bad. and bad, and I don't know if I want to call it bad in a good way quite yet. I enjoyed the movie, and we'll get into that later. But
he takes him up to the apartment or whatever, his drug dealer's apartment. He's like, bro, you got a room? Like, can we crash? He's like, nah, man, nothing's open but the bathroom. So Fritz is like, oh shit, that will work.
Hey, Fritz the Cat, it's become the stud of the year. We're having a session here now, so I don't know.
Hey, anybody using that room?
That's the John. I mean, if you're really strung out, man.
We'll take it. This way, group. Come along now, step lively. Watch your step.
So they basically all go into the bathroom, get in the hot tub,
him
start
and
smoking.
3 different women.
Yeah, and basically the opening, it opens with Fritz basically having an orgy with these 3 random college girls.
He gets them in the bathtub.
Because he's talking all leftist and political, and he's like,
this is how you really open up your eyes, and you
so
gotta see things, and we got to get naked and be in this bath together, and we have to feel everything. We got to get real close.
Experience awaits us, my loves. This bathtub is now transformed into a space capsule of truth and love.
This is wild. Yes. Only in naked closeness like this can we all come to know each other.
Yes, right. Very good, Winston, darling. Naked closeness. True. You are a perceptive girl. Closeness. We must all get very close, as close as possible, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that's right. Let's all get close together. Oh, boy.
We got to get real close.
And they're all about it.
And then he hits him with and then what you got to do is you got to sit here, and then you got to do that, and then you got to do this. And this boy goes wild and just starts banging all these women at the same time.
Here, you get down over here, and you down. That's right, down like that. That's right, right under here. Oh, watch the foot. No, right, that's right, right.
The other guests of the house start getting hip to it and start one by one breaking into the room. And next thing you know, everybody's in the bathroom, all big fucking
full orgy.
Fritz is just kind of off in the corner, all pissed off because like he doesn't have these women to himself anymore.
Yeah, and it was something that like surprised me with what I didn't expect is like I thought it was going to be like your typical like sex scenes where like you don't see anything, right? There's just a bunch of ruffling
maybe
and dust
like
comes
big,
up or whatever the fuck
cloud
is going
of
on.
Bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nope. Tits and veg.
Yeah, not everything. You
open.
see everything. So I was like, wow, dude, like this is different. This is interesting.
Oh.
All right, you said this was going to be an intense movie. This is definitely an intense movie.
I'm just sitting there.
All right. Definitely an erotica. Like, I don't know, whoever's in, if you're into eroticas, like, especially animated eroticas, this is your movie. This is for you.
I feel like, Joey, we might have found where furries originated from.
Yeah, because it's all animals.
Fucking.
I mean, basically, what are they like when they give animals basically human traits and all that? That's this movie.
Anthropomorphic.
Yeah, that's this movie to like a T. Like, I mean, that is this movie.
Yeah. Everybody's all got hands and feet and talking, and it's ironic. We were talking about it. They turned the pigs into the police. They turned crows into black people.
Yep.
What was it? Dogs were Jews.
Yeah, it was like the Schnauzers or whatever. It's a really racist movie as well.
Super racist. Yeah. And we're trying to sit there because we're not accustomed to the comic that this was based off of. So it's definitely things that I'm curious to check out because I want to know if this racism was like an intended racism or if it was something that just kind of happened, if it was a time of like, if it was the era, it was the 70s and like, if that comes into play. It's brutal. Now, it's fun.
It's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny. It is funny.
So
it's a funny movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's
you know what I mean?
hilarious.
I was in stitches the whole time.
But it's just intense. It's definitely, it got that, R rating or X rating?
X.
Yeah, it got that X rating for a reason.
So we're next introduced to two of our favorite characters, the two police pigs.
Yep.
And their names are Ralph and Phil.
Yeah, because they come to
1 and Pig Cop 2.
Yeah, they come to bust the party or whatever. They're like, "Oh, what's going on up there?" Like, and he's like, "All right,
they hear like a lot of partying and stuff." So they sneak up there. So one's supposed to be like the vet, and the other one's supposed to be like the rookie, the first day on the job. And he's like the big klutzy one. So they go in to break up the party, and they break into the room after banging on the door for so long, and no one's in the room, but they hear a lot of clatter coming from the bathroom. Next thing you know, they kick in the door, and all hell breaks loose. Everyone's fighting the cops. The cops are trying to fuck the girl. Fritz is trying to get the fuck out of there. And lo and behold, it leads him to going back to his dorm at NYU. And I think it's the next day later. And he's trying to talk to his roommates and was like, "Hey, man, wasn't that such a fun time? Wasn't that wild? What a memory we just made that we're going to be able to talk about."
Yeah. And he's trying to get them to go out and shit, but they're hitting the books hard. Exactly. They're doing what they're supposed to, and he's just like, "Yo, why are you guys being so lame, bro? Like, let's get high." Come on.
And they're not into it at all. They're just trying to study because they have a big test coming up, and Fritz does not want to study. He's just like, "You guys." He goes on like this big monologue speech about like just kind of like conforming to society and not wanting to do that, being like an open shell and just going to travel and not becoming one of the numbers.
Yep. Another thing, before he went back to college, like when the pigs are basically busting the party and all that shit, I like how when Fritz basically disappears into like the toilet and then he comes out and somehow gets the pig's gun because that pig is distracted by basically simultaneously beating the shit out of everyone that's stacked into this bathtub at once, and then the other pig is being seduced by one of the three girls.
Yes, and like Fritz right outside the door. And Fritz, mind you, just smoked a shit ton of pot right before these guys kicked in the door, so he's flying high. I think that's what he
really
called it.
high.
Yeah, like flying high,
like 6 dabs deep high.
Yeah, like DMT type. Like This was no pot, guys. This was not normal pot. From what I heard, the 70s pot was not as cool as the pot that's around now. No. So whatever they were on, they were doing some weird shit. Honestly, good for the cops. They were doing what they needed to.
But anyways, back to moving away from. He gets back to his dorm,
and then he's mad at everyone because they're studying. So he goes into the bathroom and he just pops a bunch of pills. And then he just starts going nuts and somehow lights the entire college on fire. It all starts in his room, and he's just sitting there going like, "Wow. There's a fire."
Yeah, because he gets super existential, and he's like, "What's the point of all this studying, bro? Like, what's the point of life?" Like, he's like, "Dude, I'm not having any fun doing this. I'm just trying to impress my parents. Like, what am I doing this for? Like, social stature and shit." He's like, fuck this.
Bastards, you think the goddamn exams is the be-all and end-all of existence, cosmic life force or something. You think they were the friggin' fugitives. Can't even get in a few decent words to a guy, bastards. What a bore. They just sit there and take bennies and stay up all night with their face stuck in a bunch of books and their thumb up their ass. Oh, yes. I remember when it was all very inspiring and enlightening, all this history and literature and sociology shit. You think learning is a really big thing, and you become this big fucking intellectual and sit around trying to out-intellectual all the other big fucking intellectuals. You spend years and years with your nose buried in these goddamn tomes while the world is passing you by. All the stuff to see and all the kicks and all the girls are out there. And me, a writer and a poet who should be having adventures and experience in all the diversities and paradoxes and ironies of life and passing over all the roads of the world and digging all the cities and towns and rivers and the oceans and making all of them chicks. Oh, God. As a writer and a poet, it is my duty to get out there and dig the world. To swing the whole friggin' scene while there is still time, man. My farting around days are over, baby. From this day on, I shall live every day as if it was my last. Yeah, I must do it. No more the dreary, boring classes, the dismal lectures, the sitting around bullshitting with pretentious fat-ass hippies. No more the books, the spoutings of a bunch of old farts who think they know the whole goddamn score. Oh my God, what have I done?
And these, this is after popping 20 pills or 30 pills. He basically drank the bottle.
Yeah, drank it, just woofed
got
it down.
super high, and then ends up burning down his fucking school.
And you hear him because the shot pans out. And you see the fire start, he had hallucinated and he started a fire of all books and stuff in his dorm. And then he's looking at the fire. He goes, wow, there's a fire. I should grab a blanket. Oh, wait, the blanket's on fire. Yeah. And then the entire college just lights up on fire. Yeah. So he goes and just it's the next scene and he enters.
And that's how Fritz becomes a dropout.
Yeah. He drops out of college oh, that's done for me. Time to go see the world.
Yeah. And then so next scene he walks into the inner city bar, and this is where he meets one of our favorite characters, Duke the Crow.
Yes.
Duke the Crow's playing pool or whatever,
poor
and he
Duke,
comes.
Dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll get into what happens to old Duke. Duke gets shafted in this movie. That's for damn sure.
One of the funny things, the way they portray the Crows as the black society of the 70s, and if you actually listen to what they're saying, because the audio's a little hard in this movie.
It is very hard to hear what they're saying. I will say throughout the movie.
When you do get glimpses of what they're saying, they're talking about Malcolm X and the violence versus
civil rights movement.
Yeah, exactly. And we're led to this table that has 3 crows on it. This is a great scene. And they're all getting drunk together. And I think this is where we meet the crow. What's her name? Bertha?
No. Bertha comes later. She comes when they go to basically Duke the Crow's plug.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah,
so this is just another plump
This
crow.
is just some 3 random crows just having fun.
They're all getting drunk and they're all talking in gibberish. It's hard to hear. One of the crows throws a bottle up in the air and knocks himself out because the bottle hits him in the head. The minute this happens, then the boy crow scoots his chair over to the girl crow and just fucking throws 2 fingers right up there and is having a good time. And it was such a funny shot. You remember, Joey, where her hat kind of curled up and then went out and she was
this is when he basically sticks his fucking hand
straight down Batty, who was down for it the whole time.
Right,
and so Fritz ends up meeting this crow, Duke the Crow, who's playing pool by himself. And every shot
missing him.
Yeah, missing every shot. If it's missing the balls to get in the pocket, or he does get it in and it pops out, and Fritz is trying to talk to him, be like, hey man, I have all this inner guilt for how my people treated
being just the typical leftist college student, he's I feel for you, man, especially at the time, being a hippie, yo, I feel for you, man.
He's man, I'm down for it.
And the crow's basically brushing off, bro, you don't feel shit. You don't know nothing. Did you go through it? Fuck out of here, dude. Like, so the crow's basically just brushing off what he's saying, like ignoring him. But then he comes around to Fritz miraculously after missing every goddamn shot through the whole game. He sinks them all at once.
Yeah, he fucks up
because Fritz like
the other
bumps
ones
into
he was
him
all
or
lined
something.
up, and then like Fritz bumps into him and he hits it, and every single ball goes into every single pocket. And he's like, "I'm gonna buy you a drink, buddy. Like, good, thank you." And then lo and behold,
Fritz says something he shouldn't.
Fritz just turns around and he calls the crow behind the bar boy.
I'm gonna buy you a drink, Cat, just cause I think you got coolness.
Oh, great. Hey, boy, can I have a drink?
And everything, like music screeches, everyone starts giving him a death look. And
Duke's like, "Ah, god damn it."
Yeah,
man.
he's like, "What the fuck, bro? What? Like, literally, are you serious?" And then
You were
the
a cool
bartender
cat, now what
takes
the
the
fuck?
shot glass that has the alcohol in it and just spits in it and just like it hands it out. And then our boy Duke takes a bottle and just smashes that out of the bartender's hand.
Still backing up Fritz after he fucked up.
For some reason, like he was like
he's just
down
good
for the
shit.
cause.
Yeah,
he
he's
was
just good
down
shit.
for the cause. Next thing you know, the bartender breaks a bottle and Duke pulls out a switchblade. And it's like this big bad stare down, and they're like the members of the bar trying to break up the fight.
Yep.
And everyone's like, Duke's just kind of like, you know what, Fritz, let's get out of here.
Yeah. Or some I don't like, you don't even see this crow again either. It's like some like little crow that must have known Duke, like comes up and grabs, and he's like,
he's like,
man,
hey, there's something going on uptown. Why don't you go check it out?
Yeah.
Duke?
And they basically get out, but then this is where once they leave the bar. They no, they don't. All right, so once they leave the bar, this is when they go to Duke the Crow's like plug, and they meet Bertha and all this.
Yep. And Bertha is cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's so they show up at like the house in the room and everything, and it's kind of like the entire room's filled with like weed smoke, and like they're trying to traverse their way through the room. It's all like neon colors that they're showing and like all these things shooting at you. And so Fritz is trying to, he just tells some come buyer that he's like, I'm hip too. They're like, "Oh, you into pot?" And he's like, "Of course, man. Who's not into pot?" But Bertha hears this and takes this as an opportunity, as like he's a rich white cat that has money.
Yeah.
So she just shows up, pulls like 17 different joints out of her vagina and just shoves them all in Fritz's mouth. And she's like, "Here, smoke another one, smoke another one, smoke another one. Let's get it on."
Well, yeah, and leading up to like basically before Fritz before she met Fritz, she was just complaining to like the head crow or whatever he was
about
of like that establishment.
Oh, so we should mention, it takes place in Harlem.
Yeah,
so
Harlem. So how the riots and stuff, like you don't see. I think she said like white cats or whatever anymore. Like with money, she was like, they don't come around anymore, and I don't get like good money anymore. She's like, those were the days and all that. And the crow that's like running is basically just like, all right, whatever. Like brushing it off. Like, what are you?
What the fuck are you talking about? And it was a little sketch at first. I was sitting there and I was like, what the fuck
is she saying?
It's the money. Dude.
Yeah. She didn't give a shit.
How's the crowd tonight?
Not bad. We pushing enough grass to make our money.
Just enough. But it sure ain't like the good old days in Harlem when white money was the boss, and then fine white cats came up to Harlem, spreading it all around Big Bertha. Oh, child. Yeah, that was before all those peace marches, sit-ins, riots, and dudes.
Ain't nothing wrong with no peace march.
But then that's why when Fritz walks in and he basically pays to get in this place, like I'm pretty sure Duke gets to go in, but the main crow or whatever, whoever's running it, I don't even know if they give him a name.
Duke had to grab some money from Fritz's pocket and kind of like slide it to the bouncer.
Yeah, so once he sees Fritz and sees how he's talking and says that he like smokes weed, she eats that up. And where she pulls the weed from is also fucking wild.
All I know is she reaches right up her dress, so I'm only assuming it's up the hooch.
The hooch.
And I'm only saying that because I have seen a girl do that once. A full-on bag.
Oh my god! Of course you have.
Rough times. So, you know, and what she doesn't realize is she gets Fritz so high off his ass. And, you know, she's wearing real skimpy clothes. This boy comes, she runs out of the building topless.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
and they're in the junkyard.
Yeah. She basically leads him into the junkyard because he's just high as a kite, and now he's like super fucking horny, and he's basically just like after her.
That's
and
shot.
She's like basically
she's like way far in the junkyard, and he goes up to the door, and he starts like clawing at the door, like holding at the doorway.
Yeah, he's ready.
He just fucking jumps like 50 feet in the air and dive bombs her at the horizon.
Yeah.
And then you just see, like, it pans over, and it's a little sketchy at first because I didn't know if she was down for the cause. But, like, you know, it wasn't a no. It was a no.
Yeah, like she was playing around with him for a while. And then basically when finally push comes to shove and she finally like leads up to it.
Oh, this is great. Do you remember what she says to him?
Yeah, she shits on him. She's basically like,
Fritz pulls his pants down. Actually, I want to talk about this for a second because this is a weird thing that happens in the movie. When Fritz wears no pants at all. He just wears like the red sweater or like the jacket with the shirt.
Yeah.
And when he takes that off, for some reason, his dick appears and he's like naked. So he pulls his shirt off and he's standing there and Bertha looks at him and she's like, "You ain't black enough for me."
Oh, yeah.
And then he just like sits there disappointed, and we were geeking the fuck out.
Yeah,
and then she just grabs him and she goes, just kidding.
Playing. Yeah,
just playing.
just playing.
Then, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and then of course what Fritz does fucking from there, you know, not for the kids.
No, so he's literally in the middle of banging Bertha. And he comes to this realization that he understands what the problem is and that he's going to go tell the people of the city what the problem is. And, you know, he runs over, he finds a spot and he stands up above everyone. He starts talking about how it's the police's problem.
Yeah, well, like stick it to the man. He's a leftist revolutionary at this point, right? He's like, at the time, he's like, stick it to the fucking man, bro. Like it's all corrupt. Like they're oppressing us. Like, He basically lops himself in with all the crows, which is fucking ludicrous.
Yeah, and I'll play a little snippet of his little tirade that he goes on right here. Future Nick, you know it.
Revolt! Revolt! Revolt, you thick-skulled idiots! You have carried heavy burdens for the bosses. You have sweat your lives away for the bosses. The bosses, they ride around in limousines.
Get the fuck off my car!
Bosses, they're eating strawberries and cream.
Yeah, but so like he basically starts rallying up these crows around him, and at first they're all like, "What the fuck? Like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, what are you saying?" Like, they start like fucking like being like, "Bro, shut the fuck up." And Duke, being the boy, is like, "Yo, like, get down from there. You're gonna get yourself killed." Like, he's like, "Yo, chill out." And
yeah,
keeps
he's like,
going
"You don't
on
understand what you're about to get going."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So he's saying all these things, trying to get the people going, and then our two favorites fucking show up.
Ralph and Phil,
the pigs, which I do like how they portray the cop. All the cops in this movie are pigs.
Oh, every one of them. Yeah. Because what happens, like you just said, is that Fritz started a full fucking riot. So people are destroying everything. I actually think that they gather around and they beat up the pigs.
Cops.
Yeah, they
pigs.
beat up the pigs,
they do.
the Ralph and Phil, and then one of them gets hit in the face and like blood's dripping down, and so he takes out the gun and he starts shooting at everyone, and next thing you know, all these cops are showing up.
They're gonna kill us.
You know, let's just tell it where it is, man. You know, it's like right on, brother. It waited too long to get to this point.
Would you like to see a picture of my kids?
And this big fucking riot war starts, and you see the shadows of everyone just attacking each other, and Fritz is kind of like, "We'll persevere, we'll get through this," and then like runs away.
Well, and then while he's on the car or whatever. Oh, you know what we should have mentioned also prior to this, prior to the whole riot and all that. So they basically Duke and or the Duke the Crow and Fritz steal a car that Duke sees on the side of the street that some idiot left his keys in, and he's like, "Hey, man!" So like Fritz is all about it, and he's like, "Yo, let me drive."
Yeah, he's like, so excited because they're just stealing the car.
So they start whipping through the city. Fritz is destroying everything and all that, and basically one of the cops, like stands in the middle of the street or whatever and sees them coming, and they basically run him over, but somehow he lands on top of the car and he's like holding on. And something that he does that kind of pins like race relations in like this whole movie, what they're trying to like portray, is he just takes out the gun, and instead of pointing at Fritz, who's driving the car recklessly, he just points it at Duke the Crow the whole time. And Duke's like, "Yo, man, like chill out, man. Like I ain't even driving."
I have a lot of respect for Duke, because as they're turning the corner, Duke's like, "Man, get that shit out of my face," and straight up punches the pig in the face.
Gets him off the car.
Knocks him off the car, and this pig like smashes into a church.
Yep.
And then he stands up and he's butt-ass naked.
Yep. So I think we may. So the riot does happen right after he meets Bertha, but before he meets Bertha, when they're leaving the bar, this is what happens. This is that scene. Like they're driving in the car, they wreck the city, wreck the car, and then they end up with Bertha. But anyway, so back to the riots.
Right.
Yeah, the pigs basically are getting surrounded, getting their asses beat, and they basically just start shooting into the crowd.
And they call up backup, and all the
pigs just start showing up.
But
while they're shooting, Fritz is still making his spiel on top of the car, right? Like he's still saying all his shit. And Duke, being the boy, is still trying to get him down. Like he's like, "Yo, man, like what are you doing?" And of course, Duke is the one that catches a bullet
right in the chest.
Right in the chest. And it's pretty graphic. God. Like they go into it and all that. And something that they do well in it is so they paint like basically
the heartbeat.
The heartbeat is basically so Duke was playing pool and
when we first meet him,
and each the pool balls basically are bouncing in like the rhythm of like a heartbeat. And
every ball goes in a hole the
slower.
Minute.
Yeah. And I like how they did that in this movie.
That was a unique.
It was creative.
Yeah,
it was
very
nice.
creative. Yeah, big fan of that. And so like Fritz ends up running and hiding in an alleyway, and just basically watch these cops just
murk the crows.
Yeah. And so he goes on the run, and it kind of fades to the next day, and he's hiding in a trash can. And that's when this girl Winston shows up,
his ex-girlfriend, you don't even. Like that's something they don't even like tell you. Like you don't even know who she is, and she just shows up looking for Fritz, and she's like, "Fritz,
because I thought she was the girl in the bathtub. It's a different girl because she shows up later in the movie.
Yeah,
and so she shows up and she sees Fritz in the garbage can, and she's like, "What are you doing? Get out of there!" And he's like, with the whole city looking for me, I'm a fugitive. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And he's like, "But why don't you come in here? You know, it's nice and cozy."
And And she's like, nah.
No.
And then he's like, "All right, go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
And of course, right when he says that, she jumps in the trash can.
It's so funny the way, and I'll play that clip too. He's like, "All right, go fuck yourself," and then jumps back in the trash barrel. And she does. She goes in there like a dirty little girl she is.
I'm not getting in that filthy, grimy garbage can with you.
Okay, go fuck yourself.
Oh, you're such a child. Such a self-centered, egotistical child.
And then she's like, "You know what? No, this is unacceptable. I have a car. Let's just travel, and we're going to go and do things." And she ends up, they travel through a bunch of different places.
So apparently, they basically go cross country. They're going from New York, and they're going to San Francisco. Apparently, that's where they end
in their world.
In their world. And they're basically going cross country, and Fritz is getting like super, like he's existential through the whole movie, but he's like, like, what is this? Like, he's like, fuck college, fuck all that. He's like, I just want to.
Fritz is not a good person, I should say. You know what I mean? Like, I was a big fan of Fritz, and I actually had his back up until he started the riot.
Yeah,
and then just dipped.
Yeah.
You know,
no,
what
he
I
doesn't.
mean?
He doesn't give a shit about any repercussions that happen.
Nope.
You know,
he's all
he
about
doesn't care
me,
about that.
me.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to have a good life.
I have a voice. Let me
Yes.
speak up, and I don't care what it causes. Like that. That's Fritz. Like, so he's basically on this joyride with her.
And he gets mad because he wanted to go. They're on like this highway that has all like fucking a bazillion trucks, just like 16 wheelers just passing by him left and right.
Yeah.
And he's like, we should stop at the truck stop. I want to talk to these people. I want to hear their story. I feel like they have a lot of good things that they could talk about. And she's like, no, I'm just going to pull over here. And then he has a sourpuss for the like rest of his time with her.
Yeah.
You know, they eat at the diner. And he's all hum and glum about it.
Because he didn't get to talk to the truckers and learn. He's like, I want to learn their lifestyle and how
it
they
wasn't
live.
his way. Right. Yeah. So then he falls asleep and he wakes up and Winston tells him that, and we should mention Winston is a dog, by the way.
Yeah.
Fritz is the cat.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, well, you've been asleep for 2 days. I think you're coming down off of that bender that you were on. And also the car is breaking down.
Oh, goddamn. Fritz! Fritz, wake up!
Huh? What?
Fritz, the car is broken down and I can't get the damn thing...
What? Where are we? Oh, fuck a duck. We're out in the middle of the friggin' desert. Jesus, it's great.
Exactly. You've been sound asleep for 2 days.
What?
2 days! Oh, you really must have been dragged out after your big binge.
And so they're in the desert now.
Yeah.
So we'll say, I don't know, maybe Arizona.
The middle of the desert, middle of the road, like nothing's around, basically.
Yeah.
And so they break down, and Fritz, being who he is, he's like, I could figure this out, da-da-da. And he walks to the front of the car. They're driving like an old buggy. So he walks to the front of the car and opens it, and he's like, oh, shit. And she went to the back of the car, and the engine's actually in the back of the car. And he was like, oh, yeah, I knew it was in the bag. I'm just testing you or something. Yeah. So he's like looking at it, and he makes up all this bullshit that is wrong with the car and why it's toast. And all of a sudden, basically this I don't know, chicken farmer type dude.
Yeah,
he's driving around with the truck
dog,
with
right?
Yeah, with the chicken coop
like a
in the back.
bloodhound kind.
Yeah. He's awesome. He basically like pulls up, sees him or whatever, stops, and he gets out, and all the chickens are making a lot of racket, and he's like, yo, like shut the fuck up, and he basically just
rips off a piece of wood,
plywood,
off the back of the truck, and just
beats the shit out of him.
Literally beats all the chickens that he's transporting to death. Like they're like, as he's hitting them, more blood is squirting out, and then that they just die, all of them.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right,
like,
finally,
enough of that. Yeah. So basically, he like goes over to look at the engine, and he's like, you fucking idiots, like you ran out of gas. He's like, you ran out of gas.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I'm going this way. There's a gas station like 3 miles back that way. He's like, good fucking luck.
Yeah, he looks at Fritz. He's like, just be better, dude.
Yeah, straight up.
Man.
So then Winston and Fritz basically getting a little bit of an argument or whatever, and she's like, you'd be nothing without me, like you need a girl like this
again,
that
it's
actually
all just
loves
Fritz
you. You don't
being
appreciate
a douche
me
because like everything that she's saying and that you're
is
saying
valid.
is absolutely
it's valid.
Yeah,
it's valid,
totally valid.
But it's just not what Fritz wants. Like Fritz is all about Fritz. You know, he's all about having fun, doing whatever the fuck Fritz wants to do. And so she basically hands him a bucket, and she's like, "Go get the gas, and hurry up."
Gas.
And he basically starts walking off, and then Fritz, being Fritz, he's like, fuck this shit.
Yeah,
like, he basically
dude,
throws the bucket down, and he's like, you know what? We'll figure out who's really lost.
So fucking mind you, he just left this girl stranded in the middle of the desert, and we do not see her again. So,
we'll see who gets lost without whom.
He's gone from that point on.
So, like, they had been kind of flashing to, like, this other bunny that, there was a bunny that was one of his bandmates at the beginning of the movie.
Think
and we
they
can't
are the
tell.
same.
I don't think so. This guy's name is Blue.
Yeah, so this is Blue. He is basically, he's a neo-Nazi.
Yes.
Right? So he's a radical douchebag.
Motorcyclist. He picks up a girl.
Yeah, he's got this girl. She's
the hippo
She's
girl.
a hippo. Yeah, I think Her name is, I want to say that's Harriet. That's who the hippo is. I'm pretty sure her name's Harriet. Who basically he treats like shit, and he just like beats the shit out of her all the time. But for some reason, she stays with him. It's one of those relationships, and so basically Fritz ends up running into Blue and Harriet at like this random. It's either a gas station or it's outside of this bar or something like that. They're outside, and Fritz and John have a little or Blue, not John.
Blue.
They have like a little conversation, and John's like, you know what, you're a cool cat. Or Blue, sorry. It's played by John McCurry, so my bad. I don't even know who the fuck that is, but
this is like when you kept calling Lena.
Yeah, Lena. Yeah.
Blue.
But so Blue tells him like, you're a cool cat, like hop on.
Yep.
And so Fritz basically hops on the back of the motorcycle, and the three of them end up tailing it to this random fucking cemetery.
Yeah,
with, like
some
this
like
weird cult vibes.
Yeah, weird hangout, and like these lizard people live in there.
Yeah,
right?
One of them might be a snake, but you never really know because she doesn't take off her hood.
The tarp. I'm assuming they're both because they have hands. So that's the only reason why I'm assuming
maybe
it
lizards.
Can't be it can't be a snake. But they really made the back of that girl that's under the tarp, like they really made her tail look snake-like.
Yeah.
And then the other girl's just clearly like a gecko or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, I want to say, what do you think? Oh, they're heroin dealers.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like heroin dealers. They're basically just bums. And so they get inside. They're like. They're in like this tomb or something like that.
Yeah,
somehow they like go down to the grave.
Fritz and Blue like, hey, you got to try our stuff, and like,
and then they talk about like basically blown up. They're terrorists. They're basically like they're a neo-Nazi like terrorist group, pretty much.
The radical.
Yeah, they're like a radical terrorist group that just wants to cause harm to the world, but they try and make it their own reasoning
to blow up the power line.
The power plant.
Yep.
But while they're like going over this plan, Harriet, the hippo, is basically like telling Blue, she's like, dude, like you're no good to me. I love you, all this shit. And Blue
she's
just
trying
starts
to get him to leave. She's like, I don't.
This ain't cool.
I don't like this. I think we should leave.
Yep. And Blue, being the Nazi that he is, just starts beating the shit out of her,
oh my god,
brutally,
brutally
whipping with a big ass chain and shit, and then
the chain.
Yeah, and this is
fucking tell me what to fucking do.
Yeah, and this is, in my opinion, this is like the most controversial scene in the fucking movie. This was a scene that I was like, whoa, what the fuck are we watching?
Oh my god.
Like wait a minute, like this scene is intense. So he basically beats the shit out of her for a little bit, and the lizard that like they just met, I forget her name, the snake and lizard one, the lizard lady is basically like, oh fuck yeah, like I want to beat the shit out of her too, like she's loving it. She's like, and then she keeps saying, she's like, nah, the hippo loves it, loves it. It's really fucked up.
They're like jumping up and they're gassing him up. They're like, hit her.
And then so basically he fucking chains her up, like the chain wraps around her, and then you don't see anything or whatever,
very much
but it's
implied that the three of them, the Blue and the two girls, the lizard and the snake
people.
Chick, like have their way with her, and then like it flashes.
It's a rape scene.
Yeah,
it's a brutal fucking rape scene.
It's fucking rough. but like we said, you don't see the rape happen.
No.
It's just implied heavily, and then the very next scene, it's them dropping her naked off.
Yeah,
at like some
it's right outside the tomb. They basically walk out and fucking. One thing about Fritz is not cool with any of this, but Fritz doesn't fucking do anything about it.
No, like he had voiced, he's like, hey,
yo, stop it. But that's it. He doesn't step up or nothing. He just is just like, oh, like stop it, like you're hurting her, like don't do that. And then afterwards, it happens. He's basically like kind of like. He puts the towel around her or whatever, and he's like, hey, man, that really wasn't cool. It's like, yeah, thanks, Fritz. Like, thanks for fucking helping me out, bro.
Yeah, it was really weird because, like, that scene happened, then it did, like, a flash to, like, religious, items, like crosses
and shit. Yeah,
and then it flashed to the next scene where they're outside, and Fritz is basically saying, like, I'm sorry. I tried to stop them. There's nothing I can do, but this is good. Like, we're doing good work. We're going to cause the revolution. We're we're going to go blow up the power plant, and this is all for the best, I promise you.
Listen, I tried to stop him. Come on, Fred! Hey, wait a minute, huh? John says this night will mean a great leap forward for America's social evolution. Yeah, dig it. We're going to blow up the power plant. Look, this will keep you warm. I gotta go.
And then basically just gives her a coat and leaves her naked. And, you know, it's raining outside, so they're really setting that somber, like, feel to the scene.
Yeah. And Fritz being Fritz, he basically is like, all right, yeah, sorry about that, and just gets in the car with the lizard. And so they start driving off to the power plant to, like, do their fucking shit. And so then it leads up to this scene where it's Fritz and the lizard. And they get to the power plant, and the lizard basically hands Fritz like a stick of dynamite. She's like, "All right, go plant it up there, and I'll light it when you're
up there, and I'll light it."
Yeah. So he climbs up there, and then he's talking to himself. He's like, "Why the fuck am I doing this shit, man? Like, I don't agree with their morals and all this bullshit." He's like, "I'm not with this type of shit." As he's planting the bomb, mind you, like he's speaking to himself, but he's still moving in motion.
Like all hitting him at once. Yeah. He's like, you treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah. Like, oh, fuck, Fritz. Good for you.
Yeah, you figured it out, buddy.
Yeah. The love you give is equal to the love you get.
So then he basically sticks the dynamite in like a nice spot that it's supposed to be in, and she basically is like, all right, like, fuck you, Fritz, and she lights it and drives off without him, and he's still up there babbling to himself like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not with it. So he starts trying to pull, he starts trying to get the dynamite out of place.
With their views.
Yeah, fucking racist, radical, fucking revolutionaries, terrorist motherfuckers.
But the gecko lady had, the minute he climbed up there and put the dynamite under the like rafter or whatever, she immediately lit it and drove off.
She dipped. She was like, all right, like, it was nice knowing you, Fritz. And fucking dipped.
Well, fuck it, I ain't doing it.
So long, Fritz.
I ain't planning this bomb for you schmucks.
And so he's trying to get this dynamite stick out the whole time, and it basically blows up in his face.
But there was like a huge pause, right? Like, so he watches this thing like burn down. He watches the like wick or whatever burn down slow, and then it hits the thing, and he like waits, and then like nothing happens, and he goes, oh my God, what did they got? And then like a actual realistic like real fire like explosion show. So it's not like an animated explosion. It's like a live action explosion just fills the air. And then like it pans to the next scene, and Fritz is in the hospital.
Yeah. And so while in the hospital, basically there's like a pig guarding the door, and this, you don't know who it is, somebody in like basically like a tarp or whatever, you can't see their face, walks into where he's staying at, like where they have him in the bed and all that, in the room. And that person goes in there, and then the three girls from the beginning of the movie who he had like the orgy with and all that,
randomly
show back up for him, and he's all wrapped up. Mind you, thank God, like his ex-girlfriend doesn't show up. If she showed up, I would have been like, all right, at this point, like you might like deserve a guy like Fritz.
Dude,
like I was like, all right, like you, whatever. But anyways, so the four of the like, so it's this person and the three girls and this person.
Harriet.
Yeah. So it is. So it is Harriet. Nice. So it's Harriet the pig, or not the pig, the hippo. That basically he like
she was like under the tarp again. She was like under the hoodie.
Yeah.
We didn't know at first, but she didn't look like the lizard girl that was under the hoodie. She had like the gray fingers and stuff. So I kind of had a feeling it was her to begin with.
Yep. And what the fuck am I doing? Yeah, so fucking Fritz basically, like, they're all like crying over him. They're like, oh, Fritz. And he basically like starts to like wake up a little bit, and he's like, oh my God. And when he like comes to it, he's like, I figured it out. He's like, I finally figured it out. And he starts like having this spiel with them, and they're all like listening and all that.
It was cool because like what he did was when he first woke up from the little coma thing that he was in, he like gasps out, and I'll play the clip here too. He says the exact same thing that he said to the 3 girls at the beginning of the movie to get them to come with him. He's like, I've traveled the world. I've laid many women. I've seen it all. I've done it all.
Shh, he's trying to say something.
I've been up and down the 4 corners of this big old world. I've seen it all, and I've done it all. I've fought many a good man. I've laid many a good woman. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's you get over here and you get down there like that, and now you blonde, you get under here like that's right.
And like at the beginning of the movie, it was just some bullshit that he was saying to women to get them. And now that it's at the end of the movie, it's supposed to be like he actually did travel around the world and, well, really the States, but he's seen things, he's done things, fucking bad things.
Yep. Yeah, so basically like that spiel goes, and then he's like I figured out, and they're all like kind of leaning there like what? And he basically just says that like pleasure is basically the purpose of life, right? Like hedonism, like that's basically what it comes down to, is that play. And you could play that clip in there. Future Nick,
hedonism.
Future Nick can pop that in there, but it's basically there's really like the only point is to basically like the highest aim of life is pleasure. It's basically just to please yourself and do whatever really what the fuck you want. Like while you're here, like that's really, basically what he comes to.
Me, it's like it's an excuse to come up with doing whatever you want. You know what I mean? He's kind of like shirking a lot of responsibilities, and like we said, at the end of the day, he's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy, and I don't think. And at the very, very end, what does he do, Joey?
Yeah. So after he says, so basically, like right when he's like, dude, it's all about like fucking basically, and he basically just like grabs the 3 that he originally had the orgy with, and he's like get over here, and you go here, and you go here, and then like they all love it and all that shit, and they basically just fucking have an orgy at the end of the fucking movie.
Just like when he was in the bathtub, and he goes, and you go there, and you go there, a bit, essentially stating that he has not learned a goddamn lesson.
And this movie is like super existential in that way, like where like Fritz is pretty much just trying to figure out like his purpose and like what he really wants to do in life. That's why he's jumping around through all these hoops, like through it. And he I feel like it's something that a lot of people go through different stages of existential crisis, right? Like, and basically just fucking till you die is something that I feel like a lot of people like they go that route.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, fuck it, dude. It's like all
college,
about sex.
College age. Kids, like Fritz is supposed to be. It all it all makes sense.
Hedonism.
Yeah, that's that's it. That's the show.
Get away from the mic, man.
Yeah, no, it was a wild ride. Yeah, so it was about the college life. It was about the race relations. It was about the free love. It was about the drugs. It was
so
we weren't around for the 60s, but from what I heard, this captured a good chunk of what the 60s kind of were about.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the best way possible.
Yeah. So basically like I think what I forget who wrote the comic and who directed the movie or whatever, created this. Ralph something created the movie. I forget who.
Snakebite Scruggs.
Snakebite Scruggs. I forget who created Fritz the Cat.
Yeah, definitely something I want to check out. I want to check out those comics.
But I feel like the message, like the focus points in this movie, right? It was the American college life at the time, which is, I feel like, in a way, like very similar to American college life now.
Yeah.
With especially everything that's going on, like with like college students love voicing their opinions and everything,
very
and
vocal,
you know, like trying to pin it like,
Yep.
oh my God,
Mhm.
it's all about me.
Yes.
Like, you know, like that.
Yep.
It just that was a big point on this.
Really showed that some of these college kids don't even know what the fuck they're talking about, but they still stepping up.
Yep. Not saying all.
But it was very much shown when like the girls went up to the crow at the very beginning of the movie, and they wanted to seem like they were hip with the cause, but just came off even more racist.
Yeah. And that's another key point in this movie, or focus point for this movie, was the race relations at the time, like between people. That's why like I feel like they central around Harlem and shit at the time.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
the riots and everything that was
Without a
going
doubt.
on. That's why the Crows played a huge part in this movie.
And, you know, they even mentioned Malcolm X and you know, like Martin Luther King and stuff like that.
Tying in civil rights and all that. And then, like you said, the free love movement, which was basically, I feel like it became famous through like the hippies, right?
Yeah.
Where you're separating like marriage and sex, you know, and what happens between individuals is between them.
Yeah, you wanted in the 60s, they were breaking free of the like strictness of
traditional,
the 40s,
the traditional
40s and the 50s. So like
you
they
get
were
married to
gonna
your cousin
exempt-
bullshit, like that traditional
Let's
stuff.
have
Like
an
they
orgy,
branched away
an
from
orgy.
it. Yeah. And then the countercultural political revolution was a big part in this, which was basically like at the time, like especially 60s, 70s, it was stick it to the man. Like don't trust the government. You know, they're
Fuck the
lying to you.
police.
They're oppressing us. Like everyone wanted to like get into that. I mean, well, oppression also ties into the race relations and that with
It's
the
all
whole Harlem.
connected,
Yeah. But those were the key focus points through this movie, and that's probably why I'm going to rate this movie higher than what like watching standpoint as a movie in general, without like tying into like really seeing through, like reading between the lines. This movie is like kind of weird, you know, to watch. But then when you think about everything that they're like trying to like portray and what they're trying to say, what they're trying to get their audience to understand, that's why I like this movie.
Yeah, it was a fun movie.
A hell of a ride.
A hell of a ride. And really, there was no plot to it. It's really just kind of like Fritz just goes from place to place and different things happen. And it wasn't like an ongoing from start to finish. Like he just kind of learned along the way, like we said. But it was just such a weird ride that we just went on with it. And, you know, everything that's done in the movie, it's a weird thing. Do you agree with it? Do you don't agree with it? I'm looking at this movie as the animation part and how entertained I was when watching it. So at that point, I think I will put it at about a B.
You're gonna give it a B? Good grade. Good grade.
Yeah.
You know, definitely a good, like fair assessment of the movie.
You know, I had belly laughs, but there is also a lot.
It's very raunchy.
Yeah, you know what? I might hit it a B- because there's a lot there that really kind of makes you disgusted. There's a lot there that makes you laugh, and then immediately after, you're just kind of like, oh, I feel guilty for liking it.
Yeah. So I did think the movie was funny. I did enjoy the movie and all that. Like we said, there was really like no plot to the movie. This is like just Fritz's wild fucking
just
adventure.
Moving,
you know. So what turns me off to this movie is the side that it's like an erotica or whatever. It's like
X-rated,
X-rated type film. To put that, like, I'm like for like an animation, you know, I'm not really all for that, you know, like I'm not saying like
it wasn't needed.
You do you, yeah. It just wasn't needed. Like the things that they drew and everything.
Shots would have been funny, but like
it was a lot. The whole movie, the whole movie is just sex, like fucking titties out, fucking dong, everything.
It took a while for the dong to show up, and at first I thought we were going to be in the clear, and then it started and
rain and dong,
and it was pretty.
Yeah. So I mean, with that, like I said, I like the focus points of this movie. I like things that they touched upon, especially like I think they like they've said and like you said, they tie into like the 60s and stuff really well. But for just as entertainment factor and all that, like how I enjoyed it, I'd probably give this movie a C. Wasn't my favorite, wasn't the worst. Like I said, I did have belly laughs. You know, but just the raunchiness of it and like how much of it was actually like
is just too much.
Yeah, it was a little too much for me, but it is still a decent movie. It's still like if you're into that type of shit, you're gonna love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. The jokes are fucking hilarious,
and it's one of the few rated X movies that actually did really good at the box office.
Insanely good at the box office.
You were looking it up.
Yeah, it was. I forget. It did like 90 million in the box office for the time. And I forget,
of a small amount of a
small
budget.
The budget was 700,000.
Yeah.
And the box office did 90 million.
Yeah. So, you know.
And it came out 1972.
Yeah.
So 90 million, 1972.
You know, it reached people.
It killed it.
Yeah.
Like in that regard, it was absolutely a popular movie, which is crazy because before you brought it up, I didn't even know this movie existed.
Yep. I was looking it up because before I was thinking like, you know, we have Rick and Morty, we have The Simpsons, we have Family Guy, we have American Dad, and so like all these weird kind of, I mean, you know, it's not as profuse nudity in it, but like a lot of the like humor and stuff, like what they can and can't get away with. I was curious to see who was the first to actually pull this off. Like what was the first? I was just looking for an R-rated movie. And I came across this one. This was everything just kept leading me to Fritz the Cat as like the first adult cartoon.
Yep. But it was a good watch, and I would definitely recommend this movie. For me personally, like I said, I'd give it a C. But I know there's a ton of people that would disagree with that and probably love this movie.
Yeah, and you know, just to give it a shot.
I would still recommend it.
Just to give it a shot,
it's something you probably should watch.
What the voice of the 60s was, right? Because we're looking at it from people from the 60s. So it's just, it was a cool perspective.
Yeah.
Raunchy, but definitely cool. Why don't we tier the characters a little bit? And there's quite a few characters.
Yeah. So are we doing this one S tier 2F? Because the way we did it with Scooby-Doo.
We're
S-tier.
always S tier.
All right.
We're always S tier.
S tier character for me at the top. The S that's got to be our man Duke the Crow.
As S tier, yes, because he gave his life for shit bag.
And he was just he kept calling Fritz the Cat a cool cat. No, Duke the Crow was a cool cat.
And when he got in the fight in the bar, this man on a dime was ready to kill for Fritz.
Yeah, he pulled out the switchblade.
Yeah, he was like
no hesitation.
Fuck with me or my fucking boy, I will fuck everybody up. And it became like this big stand. So solid man, holds it down
S tier.
S tier.
And then A, I would probably put, and I'm going to group them together on this. I would probably put the two pig cops.
Oh, Ralph and Phil.
Yes. I thought they were hilarious.
Yes, they were.
I thought they were just a riot.
Out the good amount of time of the movie. Just their bungling duo was
They were hilarious.
And the fact that they would just beat the shit out of each other randomly.
And they painted like that how a lot of people paint cops at the time and stuff like that I think they did it perfectly. And I love that the fucking cops in this movie were all pigs. I think that's just a funny fucking,
they did it really well. They made back in like then the big thing was to kind of like, he's a cool cat. And so obviously Fritz the Cat, and Duke kept calling him like, hey cat. And He just kept calling him like that. And it was like a cool little, shows the era. You know what I mean?
And then
if we're going into B,
you got. Are you agreeing with this list so far?
Like, I do. I agree. No, I agree with both of them. I would say, and follow me here on this one. For B, I'm gonna put it as Winston, and you gotta listen. The X only because when it came down to it, Winston actually had Fritz's general well-being in her like mind. She wanted Fritz to do well. She wanted to take him out, and he didn't even give her a chance. They were on the car ride there.
Fair. I agree she's a great person.
Mm.
I do. I think she's a wonderful dog person. But as like one of my favorite characters.
Oh, Harriet?
You would put the
No. Listen, I keep jumping in. You tell me.
No. I'm just talking about Winston right now before I give you who I think would be B. The reason I wouldn't put Winston at B is because yes, she's a great person and all that. Like she's got Fritz's back. She's probably like the type of girl a lot of dudes would probably want. But for me, that just ain't it. To me, fucking Winston.
Because you're not married.
You're right. But to me, Winston was kind of a nag, you know. She was kind of like a drag. Like I.
But our boy Fritzy needed it.
He did, but she would also drive me crazy.
She did. Like, she flipped it when she first met him. She's
super
was
bossy,
like,
bro. I don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, like.
Okay, all right. So do you have a replacement for B? Because
hear me out on this.
Okay.
And you're probably gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with you after everything we said? But out of all the characters in the movie, the B, I would probably put it as Fritz. I would probably put Fritz
we
at
haven't.
B.
No, 100%.
Like I think like because like I like the pigs more than Fritz, and obviously Duke's my favorite. But at the B, I would as shitty as a person he really is. Like I still enjoy Fritz's character a lot. Like I think he was written well. I think he's very entertaining. I think he's funny. I definitely like him over Winston.
Yeah, he's a soothing voice too, and like a lot of the audio in this movie
I was going to say I could barely hear most of the time.
But when Fritz was talking, he was like very enunciated. He was very clear. You know, like I don't know if that's just because he was the main character. And
he's well spoken, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would put Fritz at B for me.
And you're right. Because I was a huge fan of Fritz, I was like, the man just wants to fuck, and as a college age, that's just what you want to do. But like I said, he lost me when he started the riot, and then he dipped. And then the car broke down, which is technically Winston's fault because
it is Winston's fault. She's driving. He's been asleep for 2 days.
For 2 days.
And she ran out of gas.
The fucking gas.
Yeah, like. Did Winston
and then blamed him.
No. Yeah. So I would put Fritz at B for me on this list. I think Fritz is just one. Okay, he's one of the better characters.
Yeah,
in the movie.
I can get on that. It was hard for me because like you're right, and so for me at that point, it's between Fritz and all right. Well,
would you say Winston? Fritz and Winston at B for you?
No, I'm going to drop Winston down. I'm thinking Loretta and Harriet are probably... Can we just put them together? Because I feel like they kind of did the same thing and just like...
Which one is Loretta?
Loretta, wasn't she the crow? And Harriet is the...
Bertha. Bertha's the crow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Got you.
But I would probably put them in where we see...
Still B. I mean, unless we pass, you agree with Fritz?
I'll put Fritz at B.
Okay.
And then I'll put both those girls. Can we put both those girls? I know we've been doing kind of one.
Absolutely.
No, we put the two pigs together.
Yeah, we put the two pigs together.
I'll put Bertha and Harriet together.
Yep.
Because they're both girls that Fritz ended up having relations with. Fucking.
Yeah. Wait, did he end up fucking the hippo? Harriet? I don't know if he ends up screwing
I think
Harriet.
It was assumed
unless at the end of the movie or whatever,
when all the girls in there.
Yeah.
Because he did like that is true. Why did she show back up?
Maybe because he like.
Because he left her crying naked in the woods.
He did.
Why would
but he
she
did
show
put the
back
towel
up?
on her or the tarp.
The jacket.
The jacket.
Yeah, it was just a little jacket. It was like she's butt ass naked, crying in the rain, and she still showed up and was like, "Fritz was a good one."
Yeah. Maybe because he was like, "Yo, that was wrong," and she probably never had anyone stand up for her before. Even though that was a terrible way to stand up, you should have stepped in and fucking done. Also, got your ass beat at that point, Fritz. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, like, even if you're gonna lose, bro, like just take the beating. But I guess Fritz is smarter than I am, so.
So
he thought about it a little bit more.
Man, so maybe.
So you want to hear you're definitely going to disagree with me on this one.
Okay, go.
You want to know who I would put at the C?
Are you gonna? Don't do blue.
No, blue is one of my least. Probably. Yeah. He's the F
he's
for
a
me.
Fucking douche.
I feel like you're just gonna get a lot of criticism for putting a neo-Nazi as.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good.
So
good
we're gonna
looking
avoid that.
Out. Yeah, good looking out.
But no, I don't fuck with blue at all in this movie. But I would actually put the 3 girls.
Oh, I was literally,
C.
yeah. So when we were just like a second ago, when we were just talking about it, and you said that, I was like, both the girls that I listed in some way, shape, or form were not good people. Yeah. Because the hippo was given the heroin to Blue, and the crow was only interested in Fritz's money until he gave her the dick. Yeah. But the girls had always been into Fritz from the get. Yeah. They wanted to show.
They were always down for whatever. That's why I like.
They did fuck all the other people in the apartment too. They were
was
just
an orgy.
That Fritz started but didn't want to start.
All right, fair. Yeah. But like they were always down to like smoke. They were down to like basically do whatever. They were just trying to be hip.
So we'll do. They're what? They're C now. We're on C.
Yeah, we're on C.
Okay,
I put those 3 girls at C.
D.
And then I would do
2
Bertha and Betty, or not Betty,
Harriet. Yes. And
I would put them at D. And then on the bottom, I would put the Big Bad Blue.
Big Bad Blue at F. And the lizard people. I'll put them at
They're in
F
F as well. They're just horrible people. And just if that scene alone, if you rate them anything higher than an F, like you're just a very
you're
strange person.
Showing your true colors.
Yeah,
and that's
up.
What this podcast is about. Yeah, we got you. All of you listening and you're laughing.
Chris Hansen.
Why don't you sit down?
But yeah, that's how I would go it. So I would do S tier is Duke.
Yep.
B tier is the pigs.
Yep.
C. Or no, A tier is the pigs.
Yep.
B tier is Fritz. C is the 3 girls.
The 3 girls.
D is Bertha and Harriet. Yep. And then F is Blue and the Lizards.
And the Lizards.
Yeah, the terrorist organization. Or not even an organization. They were just a couple radicals.
I don't know what they thought. They were going to blow up the power line and that was going to end the world. Like, I don't know. Maybe the 70s because they didn't, all they had was their...
Like, no one's going to have TV anymore.
And your fridge
Your power's done.
Your fridge is going to go out. Your food is going to go bad.
Although they were in the Midwest, they just drove by a chicken coop and all that.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But yeah,
and that's that'll be our hidden character is the guy driving the truck that killed the chickens.
Oh, I put him at S also.
Yeah, he's our snake bite.
Yeah, he's our snake bite Scruggs of this series. He's an S tier character for sure.
And honestly, that's it. That's Fritz the Cat. Joey, thanks for coming to do this.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I had so much fun. Thanks for putting up with this movie. It was a unique experience.
Absolutely.
And listeners, check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, any kind of podcast platform. We're there. Look for the Orange TV. Hey, that's me. And as for the 3 golden rules, save the planet, fight pollution, and motherfucking be good to yourself. Thank you. Good morning and have a good night.